we go.
Hello, welcome to the session on instructional design time-saving techniques for online instruction presented at the Online Teaching Conference in 2016. My name is Margie Kirko-White. I've been working at College of Effici in Northern California since 1995 as an instructor, a DE coordinator, and I also help online instructors as a support person. I've taught over 100 classes online since 2002 in the business and technical areas. I have an MBA and I'm currently pursuing a PhD in education instructional design for online learning. I'm also a certified APEADS trainer. Our goals for today is to learn how to use instructional design techniques to save time, to maximize your time, minimize your stress, and create an effective learning environment. I've made some assumptions about you, my audience. I assume that you're instructors. You may provide support for instructors or learners as the online students. You may be from administration or technical side of the house. I also assume that you have some online teaching experience or you know the platform on which online instruction takes place. So let's start with some self-reflection. What about you and time management? Take a moment to think about what is working for you and what is not working. Let me give you some examples. So what is working for you in your online course room? Is your content organized? Do you have to recreate it each time you teach the class? Do you have it in a format that's easy for students to follow? What about grading? Do you spend too much time on grading? Too little time on grading? Is it easy? Is it organized? Discussions are a key component of online course rooms. Are your discussions relevant to the learning objectives? Do students enjoy them? And also important about what is working for you, are you having fun in your online classroom? What about what is not working? Do you ever feel overwhelmed? Is it too much too soon? Is it too hard? Do you get behind on grading? Do you feel there are too many time wasters? Do you answer the same questions over again? Do you forget how to organize your modules each time you start the class or link your videos? Is there student confusion, which is also a huge time waster for students? So now that you're thinking about that, let's start with the beginning. Let's talk about instructional design, and then we will move into how the techniques and ideas from instructional design can help you save time in your online class. So instructional design basically takes design theory, learning theory, and also instructional technology and combines them together, applying theory and practice to create an effective learning environment. We are going to talk about course design, and I want to start with your course syllabus. Basically, this is your design document for your course. You have your SLOs, which is the end result of the course. Very important to know your student learning objectives or outcomes, however they're called at your school. You'll also need to keep track of these for assessment purposes and reporting purposes. So we start with the end result. That's the goal of the class, is for students to achieve the SLOs. We also want to combine in your teaching philosophy, course design, and assessments and grading. Save time by designing well at the beginning. And the beginning usually starts with your syllabus. So let's talk about your teaching philosophy. You may not have thought about this in detail in terms of designing your course. You should think about what gifts you bring to the course room. Why are you teaching this course? You obviously have some experience, some knowledge, something that you can share with your students. And then also, what is your teaching style? What do you enjoy? What's something that maybe is unique about you? Or it could be very common that you teach all your courses the same, and you add some uniqueness through assessments or something else. So think about your personal teaching philosophy when you design your course. It will help save you time because you will be maximizing your own resources and gifts. You will using that to leverage and make the course easier for you. Also think about fun and enjoyment. What do you do that you enjoy? Why are you teaching? Hopefully there's a reason why you're teaching. Online courses are generally harder to teach than on campus. There are definitely many benefits, and there are ways you can save time and make it not be so intensive. But generally online courses are harder to teach, so why are you doing this? What can you leverage into your course design to make it more fun and enjoyable for you? Of course, remember that your course design with your teaching philosophy must fit within the context of the course requirements. The SLOs are there for a reason. The course has gone through a curriculum committee review, so you have some structure that you need to work within. So what you can do now is take time to reflect. You can stop the recording. There is a pause button down at the bottom. And you might want to take some notes if you had an aha moment while we were discussing your personal teaching philosophy, or if you just want to take some notes, you can stop the recording right now. So let's talk about course design and some important key concepts that can help save you time in the design and the running of your course. So start with the beginning, your learning objectives. What is most important? Think about the crucial steps and try to design your course in a way that all of those learning objectives are straight along the path. You can have diversions to different areas, especially things that you want to cover, but you have to make sure that you are covering your design of your course to lead to the learning objectives. Also think about your students. Are your students first-year students, second-year students? Do they have some knowledge, or are they coming fresh? Is this a beginner level course? So you may want to provide some extra resources. If most of your students are advanced level students and you expect them to come in with some knowledge, you can have some, for the students who aren't there, you can have some side activities for them as an option instead of making them a part of the course. So think about your students, and this is another part of instructional design strategies, is to consider your audience. Be consistent and clear in your course design. Assume nothing. So I will talk a little bit more about consistency, but you have an environment where you can upload more documents, you can upload more steps, you can make your instructions as detailed as you like. So you may want to spend some time writing things down and making sure that you don't assume anything, because unlike the face-to-face classroom, you will not be able to look across the room and see confused student faces. You will not be there when they are reading the instructions and they have a question right at the moment. So the clearer you can be, the better. Let's talk about course design and assessment. So you must have assessments in order to assess whether students are learning the SLOs. So take a look at your assessments and ask yourself, are they relevant and necessary? You don't want to add work just for students to do. For example, if you're converting a class that you normally teach on campus 2 days a week and you're converting it to an online session, you may think, well, I need 2 days a week of discussion. Well, maybe you only need one discussion per week. Maybe you need to change your mindset about what you do in the classroom on campus versus what you do online. When you consider due dates, think about grading. When will you have the time to grade these assessments? And think about that when you create your course schedule. So for example, in my online courses, my due dates are on Monday night. Many instructors assign Sunday night due dates, which is difficult because the majority of instructors are assigning Sunday night due dates, so students may be feeling a little overwhelmed on the weekend. Plus, if students have questions at the last minute, are you going to be available on Sunday afternoon to answer those questions? So you may think about a due date that's in the middle of the week where you will be available to answer questions, and the next day you have the time to grade assignments. So what I did is I set up due dates for Monday night. I would set aside Tuesday morning for grading. My plan was then to have a new announcement come up every Wednesday during the week, and I would announce to students that their assignments were graded and they should take a look. It gave me an extra day in case I didn't finish Tuesday morning. I had Tuesday night, and if I was unable to get things graded on time, then I would tell students on Wednesday in the announcement that I'm still working on the grading. Another thing that you might want to consider for time management is whether or not you take late assignments. So my strategy was to accept late assignments up to 1 week late. I would deduct 10% in points, but I told students that if they submitted something late, they would not get it graded until the next week. So that way I was not continually grading assignments 1 and 2 at a time as they would come in later. Another thing to think about is student feedback. How much is necessary? I will have some time-saving tips a little bit later on managing your student feedback. But if you are spending hours grading essays and students are not reading your comments, then you might want to consider whether or not that amount of detail is necessary. So I have taken classes at the graduate level where instructors would only edit papers if you requested it. So they would not spend a lot of time editing papers to return to you if they knew that you weren't going to read it. So that may be an option for you. You may want to ask students if they want all that feedback. Some other ideas around course design and assessments and saving time. Make sure your assessments have clear instructions. It can't hurt to have more. Now students will most likely print things out, so you may want to just consider that if you want to save paper. But think about answering questions before they're asked. Don't feel bad about over-explaining things. And another thing I'll talk about is revision. You may find that time after time students make the same mistakes, and you should just put that in your instructions. So in my discussion assignment instructions, I put in there, remember this is a college class, I expect college level writing. And in the past, I used to have to say, this means capitalize the letter I, don't use text speak. I don't have to say that as much now. I can just say, I expect college level writing. Include a grading rubric. So I don't have time in this session to talk about rubrics, but it's helpful for students and it's helpful for you. So if you are unsure about how rubrics work, there are lots of resources on that, and you should take a look because it will save you time. And it also is less stressful for students if they have a clear idea of what is most important for you. Also, use your learning management system Timesavers. So there may be ways that you can batch assignments or apply comments to all assignments as a starting point. So talk to your colleagues. You may also want to review discussion forums for your LMS to see if there are other time savers. So here's another chance for you to pause, make some notes. You can stop the recording and start it up again. All right, let's talk about some more specifics, nuts and bolts on time savers. So content. Your course content is the replacement for you in the lecture. It may be PowerPoints, it may be notes from the book, it may be videos. So when you are designing your course content, keep general references in the content. For example, don't mention specific dates. So you may design this you may design the course during the election year, and you may want to include references about the election coming up because as you're creating your content, that's what's happening right now. I recommend you don't do that. Put up-to-date references in your announcements or in your discussion, but leave your content very generic so that every semester you can turn it over without having to go through and look through the specific references that don't make sense this year. Use a checklist. So as you go through, you may need a checklist for checking all your links, checking your videos, checking things that you want to do. And this is another key component of instructional design is to use a checklist. And so create one as you go through, and then every time you recreate your course, just follow the checklist, adjust as necessary. Also, another way that's handy that will save you time is to leave yourself notes in your course. So as the course goes along, you want to have somewhere where you can make notes about a timing issue. Maybe next semester you want to offer the assessment a week later after you cover something, or just notes to yourself. What I do is I use a draft announcement, because when I create a new course or re-upload a course for a new semester, I go through and set up all my announcements. And so I always go to announcements, and then I see that one that says notes to myself. And so I open it up, read my notes before I do anything else, and then that saves me time in the long run. So you could also leave yourself notes somewhere in the course where students don't see, but definitely somewhere inside the course, somewhere where you will come across it the next year. Other examples for grading. I talked a little bit about this before. Set a schedule. So again, think about your due dates in terms of when you will have time to grade. Be clear in your expectations. Again, that comes with the rubrics and also with the timing. Let students know, do you accept late work? Is it maybe on a case-by-case? It's better to be more clear and straightforward in the beginning where you can make exceptions, rather than to not address it and then have to deal with students asking you all the time. So if you don't have a late policy, your students will do your assignments first before their other ones, because they know they can't turn anything in late. I believe that there are always things that happen, so I like to give my students a second chance. What I don't tell them is if they miss too many assignments, I offer extra credit, and I use that as a time saver for me. I have them go out and find additional content for me. So I have them do research on a certain topic that I can add to my course. So be clear in your expectations about whether you take late work, what kind of, with your rubric, that will be very clear about what you expect in your assignments. What this will do is this will save you time when students are unsure and they have to email you, or they question your grading. So it saves you time by being very clear in your expectations. Also, what's very important in instructional design is revision and evaluation. So adjust accordingly. Ask your students for feedback as you go along through the course. And again, make notes for when they do share something. So you can ask them, are the due dates reasonable? Was this clear? And you can do this through surveys in your course, anonymous surveys, or as part of a discussion assignment, you can ask students what was the best thing they learned about the assignment, what did they think, and just pay attention. And so adjust your assignment instructions if you need to add more information. You can also adjust due dates. Anything that is an evaluation and a revision to help you for next time. Other grading time savers. Use the LMS effectively. Check user forums for tips. Talk to your colleagues. You don't know if something, when you learned your learning management system, it may have upgraded or changed something and added this great new feature that will save you a lot of time, but you just don't know about it. So check on those. Take the time to ask for help and check for time savers. If you can batch tasks, meaning can you combine and save some time? So I always did my grading at one time. I would make sure I was not going to be interrupted. What I would do was I would start with generic comments and then add specifics. So I would save in a file the grading comments for different assignments, and then I would copy and paste into each student, or what I'd like to use was the batch function where I could add the same comments to all the students. And then I would go in and customize based on what I needed. So for example, I had an assignment where students had to write goals using the SMART method, specific, measurable, ART. So I had a written explanation of the 5, and so I would copy those in there, and then if a student missed one, I would erase the others and just leave that one in there. And so it was easier for me to remove extra content and just have what I needed in there than for me to copy and paste just the specific pieces. So think about time savers, especially if you're using the same kind of information. And it could be something as simple as check this module for instructions on how to do this, or read my handout on this. Just a little bit can save you time in the long run. Choose a grading style. So for example, I'm going to give you public versus private grading of discussions. So what you want to do is you want to do something that's consistent, that works with you, and that the students can get comfortable with so they know what to expect and they can hopefully remember week to week how you grade and what they should look for. So for an example, for grading discussions, so let's say you have weekly discussions. You can choose a style where there's minimal private feedback, where your feedback is mostly public. So at the end of the week in the discussions, you provide a summary post. And again, this is one that you may use over and over again each semester. You highlight the key learning points, and then I also recommend that you call out specific students and you keep track of students over the semester so that each week you are calling out certain students and not repeating those certain students over and over again. And this is just a good technique for course community and engagement, is to use students' names and make it obvious to them that you're reading the discussion. It encourages a little bit more participation with the personalization. And if you have an ability to change the grading, you can grade by category in your LMS, where you're just adding points every week so that you're not actually commenting with every discussion. So that will save you a little bit of time. Another example is where you're providing almost all private feedback. So your style may be to be hands-off in the discussion. You may feel that your adding to the discussion takes away a little bit from the student. So, and then this is, again, a completely personal style. You do want to provide students with feedback, but how you do it can be either private or public. So let's say you decide you want to do private feedback. You want to comment on student discussions through a private grading comment. So one thing that I did, I was more hands-off, and I like to provide private feedback. So as I read the post, and I would usually read them every morning just to stay on track, I would add comments, but I would not release that to the students. So I would save scoring until after the due date. So I would make some comments, and then I might add in some more generic comments after the very end, and then I would score all at the same time. I would batch the work to save myself time. Again, you can save some standardized comments, copy them in, and then edit to make it a little bit more personalized. And then remember to instruct students to review your comments. So hopefully your LMS has some way to highlight this, that students need to review comments. But if you do choose to be a little bit more silent in the discussion, you need to tell students that that's your style and that they should be reading the comments. So to wrap up, consider the design before you begin creating your course. Take the syllabus, take a look at it, design your timing, your content, what you want to do, and consider that before you actually start creating your course. Also, very important, consider design when revising your course. So one thing, as we go on teaching the same courses year after year, we keep making adjustments, making them better. I have a recommendation. Change only one thing each semester and try to keep it as simple as possible. I have years where I changed a few things, and then the course either went really well or it didn't go so well, and I didn't know what it was that I changed that helped make it better or worse. So if you keep it to one major change, there are some things that where you add more instructions or do simple things, but if you want to change the design of a course, just do one thing at a time. For example, I had a course where the students had to write a paper at the end of the course. And so I designed it where discussion assignments and certain assignments led to pieces that were going to end up in the paper. And one of the assignments that I had them do was write goals using the SMART format. And I have that as an assignment where I actually went in, they submitted it, and I graded it one by one and gave them feedback. Well, I thought it might save me time if I could turn that into a discussion assignment. So I turned it into a discussion assignment and had students comment on each other. I found that I still had to do the same amount of grading because they weren't knowledgeable enough to help each other that much. And I noticed a decline in the quality of the papers on the specific, these SMART goals that they had to incorporate into the final papers. So the next year I made it back into a regular assignment that I had to grade. So sometimes you will make changes and they won't work and you need to put it back in. And so it helps if you just make one major change at a time so that you can keep track of the results. Learn from your mistakes and from your successes. So if you change one thing, pay attention. Feel free to ask students, how do you feel about this? Do you enjoy this? I knew from changing my assessment to a discussion, I saw the results in the final papers. They were not as good as they were before. So you can make changes and then evaluate them. Find out what works, what doesn't work. It's an ongoing process, and that's another important piece from instructional design, is that it never ends. It's a reflective, recursive sort of thing where you try something, you see if it works. If it doesn't work, you try something else, and on and on and on. So I hope you enjoyed this session. I suggest that at this moment right now you take some time to think about what you can do to improve your course or work more effectively, one tip that you would like to put into practice. And thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.